Africa is rising, and sovereign wealth funds here on the continent leading a fresh charge in leveraging their expertise and capacity to unlock global capital for the advancement of Africa's development agenda. Hello there and welcome to this focus on the 4th Africa Sovereign Investors Forum here in Abuja, Nigeria, as stakeholders in Africa's investment ecosystem realign their strategies.
The chief host of the day, the managing director of the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority, opens the annual meetings with a clear charge: the need for bolder, coordinated action leveraging the continent's sovereign wealth funds.
Over the course of this meeting, we shall be focusing on how, through effective domestic, continental, and global partnerships, African sovereign wealth funds can, on balance, achieve three things. The first is how we can offer the right balance between being risk takers, saddled with the responsibility of catalyzing economic impact on the one hand, and being conservative investors, managing wealth for our future generations on the other. Secondly, how we can collectively co-create a sustainable investment vehicle that can mobilize global capital at scale to channel towards propositions that offer as much emphasis on commercial returns, social returns. And thirdly, how we can position ourselves as the preferred financial and strategic partners of choice with the right blend of domestic influence and capital for global investors seeking market exposure in our respective sovereigns.
When African sovereign wealth funds and pension funds prioritize offshore investments, they inadvertently perpetuate this skewed perception of risk. This signals a lack of confidence in our own markets, which discourages both domestic and international co-investors. To counter this, our funds have a unique, powerful opportunity to rewrite this narrative by strategically investing within African markets.
With each passing year, our forum maintains a unique momentum, relevance, and builds more attraction. This year, we are proud to welcome two new members, the Ghana Petroleum Fund and the Mutapa Investment Fund of Zimbabwe, bringing our total membership to 17 sovereign investors committed to our shared and ambitious vision.
The chairman of the occasion's address delivered by Nigeria's Minister of Finance and Coordinator Minister of the Economy highlights the country's readiness for business, a message reiterated by the Vice President, reflecting on the continental investment strategy.
Africa is not a continent of risk. It is a frontier of opportunity and returns. I am pleased to note that the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority, as a founding member of ASIF, has taken an active role in advancing this vision. I commend its leadership in mobilizing like-minded African funds and international partners to design long-term, impactful investment solutions. The world is watching Africa. We can either build a future where African capital catalyzes and drives African development, or resign to a future where our resources are underutilized and our ambitions underachieved. The choice is actually ours.
The world is watching Africa, not just for its potential, but for its readiness, its capacity to implement, its decision to finally move ahead. Sovereign wealth funds are central to our preparedness, to our readiness. And by acting boldly, transparently, and strategically, we can position Africa as a destination for capital rather than aid.
Africa's journey to self-reliance comes under focus, moving from resource dependency to an industrial powerhouse.
Let us give value to all our resources, our gold, our cocoa, our uranium, our cobalt. Let us give meaning to this 4th and 5th industrial revolution. Let us not be consumers of what we do not produce and producers of what we do not consume. The time is now. I say no more. Let us unite and let us think of this generation and generations yet to be born
A major highlight for today is the signing of agreements consolidating the launch of the ASIF Investment platform, the first sovereign-led continental investment platform in Africa designed for scale and performance, creating co-investment opportunities to finance key development projects.
The ambition is high. We will be hiring, we will be working in complementarity between Itmar Capital and NSIA, and this is the sense and this is the objective of the documentation that has been signed to finalize the design and the hiring of institutional investor.
What we are seeking to do is the following. How do we create a proposition that is able to mobilize both domestic, regional, and global capital that offers infrastructure, that offers us the ability to execute infrastructure projects at scale, that also de-risks these investments for third-party capital by ensuring that these investments actually traverse one jurisdiction into many jurisdictions.
And essentially what that is a platform that is funded up to $500 million at the moment is the target, and this will be deployed towards bankable projects. So the agreement that you've just seen here being signed now is to bring that to life and operationalize that platform.
A blend of keynote speeches, panel discussions and fireside chats delve deep into knowledge sessions touching on the role of strategic partnerships and strengthening Africa's position in a changing global financial system, to the nexus between sovereign wealth funds and artificial intelligence.
We are partnering with ASIF for All, Africa 50, NSIA in trying to roll out an Africa Solar facility that either goes to a country's context. In case of Nigeria, some of those, especially in the DRE market, the results-based financing that FEMI leads is now a good results-based financing. IFC has done a working capital, but they're missing the equity for the scale-up of 100 times that is needed. So for NSIA to do the equity, ISA is trying to give the junior equity to elevate the risk.
The sovereign wealth fund can build a bridge between what we call the private equity market and the stock market. And the idea is the sovereign wealth fund can invest equity investment in high potential SMEs, and after that exit in the stock market. And by doing so, it can create an engine for IPOs, and that will help to deepen the domestic capital market.
Some of the biggest triggers you can see today is basically around hyper data intelligence in fund management. And that sort of leads you to what we call then predictive intelligence. So when you have hyper data intelligence, then you can use that from a quantum perspective into predictive intelligence and simulate future scenarios of so many different areas of either domain, industry, sector, fund, return on investment, and even the structure of the future of your fund.
The next panel looks at driving investment at scale, aligning sovereign wealth funds and development finance institutions.
We came up with an innovation called the Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank to really focus on youth entrepreneurship in Africa, and we wouldn't do it without NSIA. NSIA is our principal partner. So these are examples, the co-creation, the mobilization of domestic capital, the focus on the strategic aspects of each country's development. And I really like what Dr. Brooke Tay said. The future flagship has to be the sovereign wealth funds or strategic investment funds have to really be the guardians of what is most important in that country. And parties like us will partner, will co-create, and that's the direction that we're going to take.
We want to, in fact, have a mobilization ratio of at least 5-1. And that means that we're going to need to originate and distribute. We cannot no longer be just doing project origination and holding it. We need to bring in others in order to actually make sure that all of the power in this room and beyond is brought to bear in Africa.
The African opportunity is significant, and we all need to find ways of working together. And we have worked together severally in the past with the NSIA. We built the InfraCredit business model together with them. They are partners on the Infrastructure Climate Resilient Fund. We're looking at several opportunities in transformation of our various, I would say, integrated value chains So we have a long pipeline. We also have partnerships with the Angolan Sovereign Wealth Fund, who is an investor in AFC, and they are scaling up their investment. We're partners with them in developing a rare earths mine project in Angola.
Next up is an MOU signing between the Alliance for Green Infrastructure and the Africa Sovereign Investors Forum.
Well, we've signed an MOU with ASIF, the Association of Sovereign Investors Forum for Africa, because we believe Africa 50, the African Development Bank, other development partners, we believe that African sovereign wealth funds are very, very important partners in developing projects, in building the pipeline, in de-risking the project, and also co-investing in projects in order to bring confidence to attract investors from within Africa and globally. One of the things that we spend quite a bit of time on is to mobilize African domestic capital, African regional capital, alongside global capital. We really need to step up to mobilize a lot more African capital for African infrastructure.
A dedicated session tracks progress of some NSI initiatives, such as MedServe, in balancing commercial viability and delivering on healthcare imperatives.
So we have 3 pilot projects back then in 2018, and they went operational in 2019 and 2020. And we have the Cancer Center in Lagos, which is the MedServe Lute Cancer Center, which is the single biggest cancer center in the whole of West Africa, with 3 linear accelerators, the only place that offers 3D HDR brachytherapy and chemotherapy, and as well as immunotherapy. So we're grateful because Nigerians have actually voted by having them come there instead of going abroad. So till today, we've seen about 13,000 unique patients who had cancer, who had gone treated and passed through that center. What was unique was that when we started, 98% or 97% of the patients were stage 4. Where at the end stage, it took us 2.5 years to 3 years before we had a shift, whereby we're seeing people early stage coming, and then instead of waiting for the late stage cancer.
Conversations here wind to a close with a call for bigger, bolder and coordinated action in leveraging Africa's sovereign wealth funds to unlock global capital for accelerated growth and resilience here on the continent. Well, this brings us to the end of this focus on the 4th annual Africa Sovereign Investors Forum here in Abuja, Nigeria. Many thanks for watching. I'm David Alabi. Bye for now.